Hi, my name is Oksana. I'm CEO and co-founder in Looqme. Looqme is a platform for media analytics and monitoring, born and raised in Ukraine as well as I am. It's my first public speaking since the war started in Ukraine. And first of all, I'd love to thank to Romania and all the people from Romania for all of your support and for accepting our refugees, especially women and children. Secondly, I'd like to start a conversation today with a few topics that I think are important, and I think we don't have a mutual understanding at the moment. As you know, this war is lasting for 43 days already, and we think that we stand not only for ourselves but for the whole Europe. And it really this war makes us really angry and furious as we fight not Putin, we fight Russians. Russians that support Putin's actions, more than 80% of people support him, and it's not Putin who shells our cities, it's not Putin who rapes our women, it's a lot of people engaged in those activities. And that's why in Ukraine there is a tremendous level of unity and organization. We have not only military front, but we also do have PR front, communications front, IT front, and many other volunteer organizations that try to make the impact and try to make Russia surrender. One of them is economic front, and its objective is to make companies operating in Russia to leave. And I see it as a number one reputational risk at the moment to be crystal clear that Russia is toxic, and any connection to Russia is toxic as well. And we in Ukraine will remind about it over and over again until companies will finally leave Russia. I'm talking about this now because for the last week I've received a couple of requests asking me who is the leader of this movement, who is the organizer, is it possible to contact him? So the answer is I have no idea, because there are dozens of such groups and there are tens of thousands of people who are engaged in this activity. It means that there is no one center. There are a lot of different people who think that it's important that companies will leave Russia and stop financing the genocide of Ukrainian people. The second reputational risk I see now that is strongly connected to the first one is that still a lot of businesses try to sit tight and be silent. Recently, in the last few years, there have been a lot of researches showing how important it is to corporate reputation to have a strong voice for main political and social issues. And still, we see that even now, in a situation when Ukraine is under attack, a lot of businesses are trying just to wait until something will be clear and then to talk. I know it can be scary sometimes to make to send clear messages or to say freely what you think, but it pays back and it becomes less and less scary with each taken step. So please don't be silent, because it will not help you in the future. More strength you will get now, more you will benefit later. And why it's important? Because the third reputational risk is directly connected to business risk and its investments. This war in Ukraine affects the whole European business landscape, the same as it will affect the global landscape. It may sound strange at the moment, but we in Ukraine already implemented our risks and our worst case scenario. It can't be worse than it is now. We are already in a state of war. And most of the countries in Europe have not implemented that risk already. And it means that the amount of money, the amount of investment will be redistributed among other countries in other regions. So we will face not only the movement of capital, but also the movement of ideas and people. And it means a tremendous changes. Those changes always mean uncertainty, and uncertainty means a lot of quick decisions. Sometimes they will be good, and sometimes they will be bad. Decisions have to be communicated, and as usual, communications will be on the front line, trying to explain what's really going on to all the stakeholders. So, dear people, good news. Again, we will be the main fighters, and we should be prepared. But good news are that the main PR challenge still remains the same. It's that it's a fight for people's attention and time more than for money with relevant narratives. And this is something that Ukraine is doing at the moment. We fight for European and USA attention. We fight for your attention because we want to win informational war that will bring us more money, more investment in the future, and more warfare to win this war. But I do understand that our success in this field means that your work will become harder and harder. It's extremely difficult nowadays to communicate business narratives when the whole media landscape is dedicated to war. This is the visualization of the media landscape, English-speaking one, for the last week, and we see that 5 topics out of 8 is totally dedicated to war. Another 3 near them are more or less about economics, about prices on oil and gas, but still they are connected to war. As I've said, it would be a real challenge to find opportunity to infiltrate those huge trends with something that is dedicated specifically to a business. And if PR will have an opportunity to speak freely, to speak openly, and not to be silent, then probably we can jump on those trends and be heard by our audience. It also means that as we before had guerrilla marketing, now we should have special forces PR. By the way, it's a real woman who works as a sniper in the Ukrainian army, and we all should be nowadays like her. Fast, furious, and very accurate. To do so, as usual, all we need to have is a clear goals, is a clear budgets and resources, proven results, and good planned campaigns. I know that it really sounds obvious, and you might say that you do have it, but from my experience and what I've heard, often PR people are not engaged in decision-making process of C-level management, and thus PR people don't know what are the business goals. I will try to make it a bit easier. Business goals are always about the money. It can be growth of share of market, growth of sales, hiring best people, raising investment, or like in our case, it's even winning the war. And yes, to win the war is a real business goal because thus we are able to operate again. Communication goals always support the business goals and can't exist in vacuum and just stand alone. So, good news, most of the communications goals, 95% of them, are either the awareness grows or knowledge grows, or trust grows, or behavior change. So-called recently popular performance goals, those are sales or leads goals, are derivatives of knowledge and trust objectives. After we set up goals like business one and communication goals, it's hugely important to define the metrics of success or KPIs. It's a pity, but we in our activity often see companies that come to us after the campaigns are over asking to evaluate them. Are they successful or not? The answer is that we can't do this if we don't know what was supposed to be, what were the initial metrics of success. So, the choice of metrics influences the mechanics of actions we do. For example, if we want to measure the number of visits to a specific web page or the number of leads we get from that web page, we will include the mechanics how to raise the number of visits across the whole activities. And if we will not think of it in the very beginning, high chances we will lose in the end. As the main communication goals are the levels of knowledge and trust, the easiest way to measure them and to set the baseline is sociological surveys. And you need just two simple questions. Are you familiar with the brand and do you trust the brand? The problem with sociological surveys is, firstly, they are mostly expensive, and secondly, you can't conduct them more often than once per 3 months, per 6 months, per 1 year, because you won't see tremendous changes. And metrics, we need them to understand how to adjust our activity to get better results. That's why between the major surveys, we may use the media landscape and social media landscape data to better understand are we moving in the right direction. When we're talking about knowledge, the two simplest metrics we may use is simple volume of mentions and share of voice. Both of them are widely used, but the only thing we have to understand is that they are directly linked to the levels of knowledge or awareness that we get from sociological surveys. So more mentions we have, more people know about us. For trust, we may use the positive engagement rates for social media and positive reach or positive audience for mainstream media. So together with levels of mentions and share of voice, those can be easy to use and easy to track metrics that will help you to understand are you moving in the right directions until you wait for the data from the sociological surveys or any other surveys that will show a bigger picture once a quarter or once a half year. So, to be clear, as our challenge remains the same, is to get as much attention and time of our customers as we can. The volume of coverage we get in mainstream media and in social media actually reflects how much of this time and attention we get and we have. We can compare this level of attention in time to ourselves, like how it was a year ago, to our competition, or to other topics that are our informational competition and not our market competitors. For example, if you do communicate a new investment program of your business, you want to build a new building, a new shop, a new factory, it's important to see who is your competitors in the media landscape nowadays, and it won't be like your direct competitors. It can be some other investment projects that will grab more attention than you. If for example, funding is bigger, or they involved a mayor of the town or someone else from the government. So, such simple things as comparing narratives, comparing topics, comparing volume and share of voice helps a lot to move to your goals with a compass and not just like in darkness. I see now that a lot of businesses include sales goals also to PR activities. Sales is difficult, and it's important to distinguish between sales itself and activities to promote the brand and to bring target audience to a specific place. What do I mean? PR can be responsible for organic channels, for direct channels, for backlinks, for part of the search engine optimization, for part of the email content marketing strategy, and for lead nurturing, and so on and so forth. But the same as with marketing, PR can bring a lot of people to your door. But if the door is closed, or the product is unavailable, or the price is too high, or you have a shitty support, it may happen that all these people will go away. And it should not be a problem of PR and marketing. It should be a shared responsibility in your team, so everybody would know exactly what they are responsible for and what they should do and how to react to failures. So when we talk about sales objectives to PR people, it means that you should have a team that will bring more leads, not only with PR channels, but with others. You should have a finance model, you should have a CRM system, you should have sales funnel, and you should have an analyst who will calculate all these numbers each day and will adjust the strategy. Sales in general are described with customer decision journey. That specific type of journey was presented by McKinsey 15 years ago, and it was a revolutionary over there because before McKinsey presented this journey, the sales funnel looked like from wide, like triangle upside down. So firstly you had like wide choice, then you narrow it down and you make a purchase, finish. McKinsey told that we nowadays, firstly, we don't narrow it down. It can be spread up, then narrow down, then spread up again until the moment of purchase. And the moment of purchase is the beginning of the story and not the end of it. So after the moment of purchase, we start to build our loyal customers who should become our brand advocates, who will bring positive comments, positive reviews, positive feedback that will be after read by our new customers. And that's the way how we try to lower our customer acquisition costs. Public relations mostly are responsible for the second loop, not for the first one. That is for major B2C brands are built with advertisement mostly. But after the moment of purchase, here PR can be very powerful and can bring a lot of secondary sales and recommendations, and this is the place where we build actually trust, because this first purchase loop is when brand promises something to me as a customer but I can't prove it. After I have purchased specific product or service and I go on this loyalty loop, this is a place where reputation is built, because this is a place where I as a customer test those promises brand have done before I purchased it. So when we deliver, we as a company, as a brand, deliver on the promise, we build trust. Trust is based on knowledge. We trust more if we know more, because we are human beings and this is how we are constructed. And if awareness can be built with a lot of different means, like with massive advertisement, with nationwide media coverage, with direct communication, the trust is built on top of the knowledge with more accurate and a lot of tiny actions that sum up to this wonderful and beautiful thing we call reputation or good reputation. It also includes customer service, it includes internal HR communications, because actually team members is the biggest risk for any company. The problem with reputation is that it itself can't be a goal of KPI. It's too complex and it's too hard to measure, and it will arise a lot of questions in team. So if communication goals are about reputation, they should be sliced down into very specific objectives with specific numbers, so all of the team members could understand what to do and business could understand what it will gain finally for C-level management. And now I will have a very, very short story of the reputational risks. So for those who still think reputation is not important, I think it is. And when you are in a state of war as we are now, I must say that reputation is the only thing actually that still can make you do your job and to work, because any marketing campaigns work. You don't have any understanding about the future. Every your step is being traced by a lot of people in the community. So everything you do and everything you can do and is able to do is based on the reputation you've gained years before. So this is a story about Red Cross, and as you know, they face the biggest reputational crisis for the last 150 years. It was caused by their actions in Ukraine. And we see everything that should not be done in such situation. We don't see any clear position, we don't see any clear communication about this, we don't see real steps that should be done. And we see just like how they do more and more and more negative things that will bring more and more rounds of this crisis. So please do not donate to Red Cross. Please donate to special designated accounts that we have for army and for humanitarian needs. There are a lot of personal initiatives of volunteers that collect money and send them directly to specific people. If you don't know where to donate but you want to, you may ask me or other Ukrainians, and we'll gladly recommend something except Red Cross. That's it for today. Thank you again for your support. Thank you for your time and for your attention. In case you have any questions or you'd like to know more, I will be happy to share. This is my email. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. And thank you again. Hope to see you soon after the little one as well.